it's me, Ella Barnard, here at All Writers Welcome in the Facebook group. Also, creator of allwriterswelcome.com with Megan Barnhard, and I'm Ella Barnard. It's a total coincidence that our names are the same, or almost the same. Okay, so today we are going to talk about the top 5 ebook cover mistakes. I made this. That's an egg. That's an egg. Just because, it's Easter. Yeah, so let's talk about the top 5 ebook cover mistakes. Just so you know, I've been helping people with their ebook covers for a while, and I think it's really important. People need to know how important it is, because ebook covers are your first impression. It's the first thing that your potential reader or customer sees is your ebook cover or cover, whichever it is. But that's what they see. And so you got to make a really good first impression if you want them to then click on your book, right? Because they don't know how good the story is. Your story could be like the best classic or like action-filled whatever story, but they're not going to know until they actually pick it up and start reading it. And so you want that cover to be the thing that just grabs their attention and makes them be like, that looks like a good book. So that's what we're going to talk about, the mistakes that people make. So don't do these things, okay? So let's get started. Okay, so the first mistake that people make is making the cover a visual representation of the story, right? So you have the story, you've spent hours and hours and hours and hours writing and revising and editing and making it into the most perfect story that you can, as best you can. And then when it's time to design the cover, you have all this stuff in your mind that you want to then make the cover match. You want to be like the image on the cover should be like a summary and of everything, the tension and all the things in the story. Well, that's a big mistake. Okay. The mistake is, that the cover is mistaking that the cover is a representation of the story, when actually the cover is only a marketing tool. Okay. So the cover is just the first impression. Like, it's just the outside. It's just the thing that you get to people to click on it. So for example, if you think about a book that you really liked, like one of your favorite books, and I'll go with Pride and Prejudice. Okay, so Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. First thing you think about is Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth. You're not thinking about the cover, right? Because the cover is not what anybody cares about. The story is what people care about. And the cover is just only to get you to click on it so that you can get into the meat, which is the story. So the mistake that people make is having the cover be a visual representation of the story instead of just using it as a marketing tool. Okay. So the second mistake, here's mistake number 2 that people make. So this is a big mistake. Making a cover that doesn't match your genre. So if you have written a sci-fi book and the cover looks like a nonfiction book, you're going to have some trouble. Or if you have written a romance and the cover looks like a graphic novel, you're going to have some trouble, because people, like, I am a really heavy duty reader. Okay. I read a lot, and I definitely know like what kind of covers are the ones that look like the books I usually read and enjoy. Okay. Because I like books with badass women in them. So I don't click on the ones that have just, that are like a little bit more girly unless I'm really in the mood for that, which does happen. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that your cover matches the other types of covers in that are of similar stories of you. So that way you make it really easy for people to click on your book, because they're like, oh, that looks like the stories that I usually like. I'm going to click on it. Okay. Mistake number 3 is trying to make an original cover. So, your book and your story can be very original. Like you can put your heart into it and it can be super duper original, but what you don't want to do is make an original cover. And this kind of goes back to what we were talking about in mistake number 2. But I've actually talked with someone who she had taken a photograph of some of her friends and then put them on the cover of her book. And I was like, well, I don't know, the photograph, it wasn't the highest quality photograph, but it had her friends on it. And when I asked, I was like, well, maybe you might want to try something else. She's like, well, I hate that everybody just does the same exact cover. I want mine to be original. And I was like, oh no, because again, readers like me go through and browse through the books looking for the covers that look like the ones that we bought before that we enjoyed. So you don't want an original cover. You want to be right along with have your cover be just along with the other covers. And so thumbs up or give me a like if you've ever had that. Like if you give me a like if you are one of those people who go ahead and if you look for the covers first to see what kind of books you like. You're like, oh yeah, that one's a little bit, oh, that one, the font on that one's not exactly, you don't think that, but subconsciously you're like, no, that's not my style. Okay. So original covers, that's not where you want to go. You want to be right in line with all the rest of your genre. And, yeah, so thumbs up if you're the reader, go ahead and like it. If you're one of those readers who know what you like by looking at the cover, you can tell if it's your kind of book just by looking at the cover. Okay, yeah, this isn't the time to be original. And I'm not saying that originality is bad, but these mistakes are if you have the intention of selling a lot of books. Like if you want to sell a lot of copies, then these are mistakes that people make. You can go ahead and be as original as you want, but if people aren't buying it, then you have to weigh what's really important to you. Okay? Okay, mistake number 4 is doing a fancy but somewhat amateur looking design versus a simple and professional design. So these are, if you're doing it yourself, people can try to get really, really fancy. And sometimes it works out, but sometimes it doesn't. Whereas you can do something really, really simple and it might not be as elaborate. It might not be as complex, but it can still look really professional. So I see a lot of people, and I've definitely been one of them where I'm like, I really want to do this and it should have this in the background, blah, 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 and have all this stuff. And you try to put all these components onto the one little cover. And then it's like, whoa. It ends up not looking very professional. Whereas if you just take one really good photo, put it on there, get some really clean fonts. Something that goes along with this mistake is making it so the title is not readable. So here's a tip. Choose a really readable font that you can read even when it's tiny. Because I buy my books on my phone, most of them. And so if the title's tiny, I can't read it. So that's the thing. So keep it simple and professional versus fancy and amateur, unless you are a professional and you can make it super fancy and make it look professional too. Okay. So there's always a caveat. Okay. So mistake number 5 is having a sentimental attachment to the book cover. And the reason I put that in here is because people it's, you've put your heart into the book. Naturally, your heart and your time and your energy is all into this book and this story. And you have this book cover that you have created and you're like, this is the book cover, it goes with the book that I have written, and it gains this huge importance. And it can be a mistake because, and again, this is with the intention that if you're wanting to sell a lot of books, because a book cover is just a marketing tool. Okay. So one of the things I thought that would help explain this point a little bit is that like, when some of these major bestseller publishers, books, they have a different book cover in the United States than they have in Australia. Like if you look at like the Harry Potter books, or you look at you look at some of these books, they have an entirely different cover here in the US than they have in Australia. Or they have an entirely different cover here than they have in Germany, in the German copy. They're totally different covers, and that's because the marketing people in those countries know what will appeal to their readers. They know what will appeal to their readers. And so they change the cover entirely because it's just a marketing tool. It's not something to be so sentimentally attached to, that if you want to make more money and your book cover's not working, you might try another book cover. There's definitely people, especially on digital, where it's so easy to digitally change the cover. You just upload another file. I've seen people that have changed their cover and their sales just go up because they found a better match for their audience. So those are the 5 mistakes. The first, just a summary. So mistake 1, making the cover a visual representation of your story. Mistake 2, the book cover doesn't match the genre. Number 3, trying to make your cover original. Number 4, doing it fancy but having it not look as professional versus a simple and clean professional look. And number 5, having a sentimental attachment to the book cover. Now, if you find these useful, go ahead and share them with somebody. Go ahead and share them with somebody that you think they might be handy with. Share them with your other groups or what have you. Also, if you want to have these on hand and you don't want to have to watch the whole video all over again, you can go ahead and download them at allwriterswelcome.com/top5. So let me put that on here. There. So these are all going to be available in a PDF form here at allwriterswelcome.com/top5. And we go into a little bit of detail there there, so you can download these and have these available so that you remember when you're making your book covers not to do these things. And then you won't have to watch this video again. But go ahead and share this video with anybody you think it might be handy for. Give it a hearts if you found it handy. And thank you, and I will see you later. Bye.